Hello Vibe Coders, we're back with another episode streaming the development of the Context Bonsai plugin. So in the previous episodes we've developed this plugin and we've used it on multiple side projects and we're comfortable with progressing towards release. So in the previous episode we have taken the latest version of OpenCode and we rebased all of our changes onto the latest release of OpenCode. And we also did a little bit of tuning to the plugin's tool metadata description that tells the LLM how to use the tool. So we're going to be testing out those new tool metadata descriptions today. And we're also going to continue moving forward with reviewing the changes to OpenCode. So let's get started. Here we go. All right, so here's the Context Bonsai project page. We have two windows. One of them is for the plugin and one of them is for OpenCode itself. It actually, here, let's see, before this finished the loop, it gave us a description of all the things it did. This is where it was rebasing our commits onto the latest version of OpenCode. And it said that there's still a blocker because the spec that we gave it told it to create a final summary packet that includes the list of changes and what happened, and it got confused about should that final packet include a reference to itself in its list of inventory, and I just said no. So it went ahead and did that last thing, and now that's done. And I launched OpenCode, and I ran it through one of the standard tests that we're doing to make sure that the Context Bonsai plugin is still working. So I did the trick where I asked what is the most interesting file in this directory. Oops. It did a read tool call, and after that tool call, the results of the tool call will have the contents of the directory. So then it's able to name a file. It named agents.md. And then I asked it to prune the tool call, and it did that. And then I tested its memory by seeing if it can list any other directories, any other files without additional tool calls. And the only ones it listed are ones that are referenced in its own context, like in the claude.md file that it reads. That file references other files, so it listed them here. And then just to be sure, I asked it only the current directory, and it was able to list these. And then I asked it to list about all of the other files it knows about in the current directory, and it still only knows these four. So then I said to retrieve the read tool call, and it used the retrieve tool again with the correct message ID, and it restored the results of the retrieve tool call. And then I asked it again to list other files, and it's able to list all of the files in the current directory. So the Context Bonsai plugin tool is working. Additionally, I've updated my was it a function that calls the development version of OpenCode. So now it's pointing to this directory, which is minimal runtime replay. So now every time I launch OpenCode dev, it will launch the new one. And we can tell it's the new one because of this down here. Minimal runtime replay, that's the name of the project that we were working on. So this is now the latest development version of OpenCode. As far as I know, let's go ahead and test that git log. So, ooh, no, we've got a problem. So this commit should not be from some other author. This commit should be from me. So what went wrong here? We'll have to figure that out. So let's go chat with this LLM. Let me copy this. Oh, I'm in the wrong directory. That's why. Let's go to, what was it called? OpenCode. Bonsai dev minimal replay. Okay, here we go. Git log. Great, my commits are at the top. Let's see what the most recent commit from another author is, right here. And I want to make sure that there's no other commits by me that are earlier. It looks like there's not. Good. I'm liking this. It's also really nice that there's only 3 commits. That's going to be hopefully nice and easy to review. Now the next thing to check is the commit date, March 20th. Great, it's currently the 27th. I'm slightly surprised that there haven't been upstream commits between the 20th and the 27th. That's a whole week. Let's do a git fetch. Git log origin dev. February 11th. Hold on. Git log origin. Oh, not origin. Upstream. March 27th. It's kind of what I would have expected. Lots of stuff. Git branch -a grep upstream. Okay. Oh, there are so many commits on that remote. Okay, let's find out which branch has that as its head. Oh, actually, probably none of them. Usually Git shows, oh yeah, like this. It will show the list of branches next to the commit if that's one of the heads. So what exactly did it do? Let's ask the LLM. I'm going to copy all of this. That's good enough. Yeah, it at least has that. Okay. I'm confused. Let me know if you can understand why I would be confused. Oh, that did not copy the right thing. Let's try it again. Copy. Paste. Also, I want to do the other one. This git log upstream dev. Copy this. Paste. Or copy. Paste. Let's see if it's smart enough to know why I'm surprised. You're looking at 2 different attempts / work trees. Your terminal snippet is the older March 20th attempt. Oh, there's a different directory then. This command is a trap when debugging. Okay, sure. Shows the history of that. Git log, 1 line, decorate, upstream dev head. Yep, that's fine. Git merge space. Your confusion is valid because the old work tree still exists and has old commits while the new orchestrated replay happened in it. Tell me the... oh my gosh. Tell me where the new one is. Okay. Let's try this. Go over here. There. Okay. Now, git log. Okay. Oh, this has more commits. Oh, yeah, because there should be the documentation commits. Oh, there's quite a bit more, actually. Okay. Here we go. Now it's on top of March 27th. Great. But which directory am I launching the OpenCode dev from? Looks like the correct one. Okay, OpenCode Basil Minimal Runtime Replay. That's correct. Okay, good. So my tests were valid. My tests were testing the actual one that is based off of March 27th commits. Oh, not that. Let's take a quick glance at the changes. So once more, grab the base. This one. Git diff that. Okay. There's lots lots of documentation and a little bit of code. Why did that only do the one commit? Dot dot hit. Okay, still lots of, or barely any code. Let me see each individual one. Git log. The last one's definitely not going to be anything. Let's do this. Yes, that's all documentation commits. Next. You know what? It would be nice to, well, to list each commit and just have something that lets us iterate over them, but I don't know the command for formatting the git log output well enough to show only the commit. What file is this modifying? Oh, it's like one of the story reports that the orchestration makes. Okay, great. Next. Let's show that. Yep, okay. This one. Show that. Okay, more documentation only. Let's show that. More documentation only. Let's show that. Again, only documentation, okay. I think I already tried that one. Okay, next. Here we go. Let's show that. Here, okay. So we've got an extra import, the message table in addition to the session table. This is in session/index. Okay, and we've got import identifier. Interesting, okay. This used to say where and equals. It looks like only a formatting change at first. Let's see. Message ID, input.message ID. It has a cast or something happening here. And equals message.session ID, input.session ID, and another cast. I wonder if this was to satisfy some type checker or something. And it also adds session ID here. Bus.publish. Session ID, session ID. Okay, so it adds, in addition to this parsed info, it adds a session ID. Okay. I will work with the LLM to understand more about what that means, but let's keep digging in. Oh, and its description of that was resolve replayed message update compatibility on upstream/dev. Okay. Git show. Okay, grabs an account. What are we looking at? DB, the database, this message storage database. So it just does a query in the database to get the account. If account.length is greater than 0 and account.name is, account.sum, column name is workspace ID. So looking for workspaces, looking for a looking for workspaces. Okay, repairing account schema, column workspace ID. db.client will run alter table account, add column workspace ID. Fix repair account schema migration guard as update SDK message metadata types. I don't know quite what it's doing there. And down here, it adds new information to the generated types, a metadata field on assistant message and user message. This is expected. That was one of the core things that we needed to add to all of the messages. In the metadata is where we store whether messages are archived or not archived, and that's what lets the plugin know when it sends messages to the LLM, it will skip over any archived messages and only include non-archived messages. And when the retrieve tool runs, it's asking to unarchive some messages, so it'll remove the archive flag so that when the conversation gets sent to the LLM, it does include those messages. So this one is totally expected, but I don't quite understand this part. So another thing to chat with the LLM about. Okay. I'm also a little bit, oh, that was in a migration, I bet. I didn't look quite closely at that. Let's look again. Oh, it's in generated types. So when OpenCode runs, there are some auto-generated stuff. This is one of those things, and it generated those. I'm a little bit surprised that this is in a separate commit from the thing that actually creates the metadata field in the actual type, not the generated. Well, I guess it's probably called a model in this, but okay. Next one, git show that. Okay. It changed from these Zod things to identifier.schema things. Let me see. The description was align replayed ID parsing with branch schema. Use identifier.schema for session message IDs, so update message atomic and tool registry compile on this branch while preserving the replayed metadata update behavior. Okay. And it used to have import message ID, but now it doesn't do that. It imports identifier. And instead of a message ID, we now talk about a schema identifier called message, and it's the ID within a message. I'm guessing kind of what it means. Another one to chat with the LLM about. Let me scroll down. How many more do we have? This is the last one. Okay. That. Reimplement only the minimal upstream missing deltas needed for Bonsai metadata writes, archive marker updates, and message read path access. Okay, let's see. So skip down, skip down, skip down. Okay, got an overview. So we're messing with index.ts, message v2.ts, registry.ts, tool.ts, and that's it. Okay, I think I'm going to go from the bottom up here. So tool, we now need messages and parts available in the tool. Okay, and messages is an array. So this looks like a type definition kind of thing. Messages is an array of info, which includes the message, and parts, which includes an array of parts. And there's an update message method that takes a string ID, a function, draft message. I don't know how to read this actually. Some function that returns void and takes a field called draft that is a message. That's what that means, I think. And returns a promise. Is that what that is? Well, the function return, oh yeah, update message itself will return a promise. Okay. Now in the tool registry, it adds two new fields, messages and update message. Messages is tool context.messages as plugin cool. Tool context of messages, okay, and update message takes an ID and a function and returns this function, update message atomic, which has a session ID, which is the tool context session ID, and a message ID, message ID.zod.parse ID. This is interesting. We pulled out message ID.zod stuff in one of the other commits, but here we're using message ID.zod. Interesting. And mutate function, mutate returns a function as unknown as, what in the world does this even mean? Yeah, I don't understand this syntax at all, so I'm going to have to go understand what this means. And then not quite sure what this means either as plugin tool context. Okay, interesting. Here we've got message v2.ts. Now there's a metadata field, z.record z.string, unknown option. And here is our update message atomic function. I wonder if we can get by without this. I think I already explored this with the LLM. It needs to export some function to update messages. It might as well be an atomic version, I think, is the conclusion. There isn't a non-atomic update that is already exposed. What is this? An index.ts. Okay. So it creates an object out of this definition, I believe, is what this means. I still want to know more about this mutate thing. Yeah, I don't quite understand this syntax here. Z, I believe, is referencing Zod, which is like a model definition framework library. And we've got an async, takes an input, and return database.transaction. And the database.transaction return is the entire of what this is. It's right here. Okay, and message database.useDB. Okay, and this ends here. Is that right? Yes, this is the open, that's the close. So db.select from message table where, this is the part we saw before. It gets slightly changed in a later commit, but there's an and where message ID equals message table.id. Okay, and message table.session ID equals input.session ID. Okay, and it's going to get those records. And that will be stored in something called a message. If there isn't a message, throw an error, message not found. Okay, constant info. Oh, here's another thing. So I'm not very familiar with JavaScript or TypeScript, so things like this, I don't know what they do. ... message.data. There's an ID, a message ID, a session ID, message.session ID. Okay, so all of that is stored as something called a message v2.info. And we grab an ID, a session ID, and a role. Okay, and then we call that mutate function that we have seen a couple of times before. Here. Okay, where were we? Where's that mutate? Here, input.mutate. Nope, that's not this, because this itself is a function that takes mutate. Where's info? Info. I could have swore we saw that here. And here we're not defining anything called mutate. So I'm guessing this takes all of the fields of message.data and adds all of those fields to the info. So whatever is in this message, there's going to be data, a data field, and whatever's in that, it expands it and adds those fields to this. And then we're passing this info to the mutate of input. And the input is what the function is taking. Okay. And if info.id is not equal to id, and id we got out of info. So how could this possibly, oh, because it mutates the info. So after mutating the info, it's making sure it didn't mutate the ID, making sure it didn't mutate the session ID, and it didn't mutate the role. Okay. So that's validation that this didn't mess up our info. Parsed is message v2 info.parse info. Okay, not sure what the message v2.info.parse does, but now we have a parsed version of it. And then we're defining some, it looks like we're defining an object. The object has fields ID, session ID, next session ID, and then again this thing that I'm guessing expands data and adds all of data's fields to this. And we're setting it equal to parsed. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn in JavaScript what that means. So I'm guessing parsed is some sort of container format that has multiple parts, and each of the parts is going to get assigned to each of the things in here. So this parsed may take info and add these fields to it. No. What would this... I don't know what this is doing. Okay, database.use db, db.update message table set data, where, okay, let's see. There's an and 2 equals. So where message table.id equals next ID and message table.session ID equals next session ID, that looks just like what we saw up here. That's the same condition. Oh, except this one also had input. Wait. No, it is different. Message table next ID. Here we have message table input.message ID. And yeah, they're slightly different. They're comparing the same two source fields, but what it's comparing against is different. Input.session ID versus next session ID, and input.message ID against next ID. Okay. Database.effect, bus.publish, event.updated info parsed. Okay, so it publishes this thing on the bus, this event, and it returns that parsed object, this thing. We were going from bottom to the top, so I think we finished this. That one looks like the most interesting one to start with. And I think that was the last of the commits to review. Yeah, okay. So let's get this thing to squash this, or fix it up at least. It looks like it doesn't need so many commits. Let's start with that. Now there are too many commits. Lots of mistakes and fixes. Make a plan. Use planning guidance strategy to figure out exactly how many commits there should be, and just that. No, not just how many commits there should be, but and which things go in which commit. And which things go in which commit. said use planguidance.md and you didn't do that. Is this the dumb one? So yesterday we ran into a problem where one of our sessions got really bad. Oh no, now it's pruning. If this is the dumb one, it probably pruned the wrong thing. Oh no, that one's probably fine. So it pruned the where it actually implemented this thing. Okay. Okay, so it now is using the planguidance.md steps. This is the first step that it tells you to do, which is whatever your idea is, whatever your plan is, validate with a subagent and make sure it makes general sense. Then it's going to actually create a document that is the plan, and then it's going to go through the loops of doing stuff. Okay, and it's still not doing it right. I think I'm going to add something to my claw.md file that tells it to reread these files anytime it uses the orchestration or planning document. This one tells it to read it. Okay, and this one, same thing. Do not assume you read the latest one if you're engaging in planning. Reread this document before you start. Yeah, that should hopefully fix that problem that we just saw. This has to be the dumb session. This is so dumb. Follow the instructions in planning guidance.md. Exactly. I'm very, very surprised by what you're doing. I do still need to dig into what's happening here. It says, oh man, this stupid copied to clipboard UI element. There. Okay, it says it has consumed 25% of the context. It also says this is 100,000 tokens, which is about half of the context. And it could be because one of them includes the pruned elements and one of them does not include the pruned elements. So we need to make sure that that is, make sure that they're referencing the same thing. And we also want to make sure that auto compaction is triggered on the correct number as well, because we have seen twice now where auto compaction triggered way earlier than we were expecting. And I'm wondering if that's because of this issue. Okay, let's see. It wants to access the original OpenCode stuff. OpenCode, okay, sure. So it has now produced the correct document. Okay, it's on track again. In the meantime, let's let that cook a little bit, and we'll look at the plugin side of things. Oh yeah, the LLM drifted off and started messing around with some other plan that was not what we were originally working on, and I don't know why. I told it to fix a story, redo the validation loop, and it's took that as updating the epic story docs, but that's the wrong epic. It was messing with the wrong one, I think. Hold on. Do you realize there are many epics and many stories? We were working on one of the things, and I said fix the story, not fix all the stories. Are there uncommitted changes to the other stories? Okay, over here, it's still going through the validation loop to make sure that the plan is in good shape. Over here, it does say there are changes because it messed with stuff. Figure out which changes you made to the wrong stories and undo them. This is looking way too broadly. What's going on here? It's reading that plan. What else is it doing? Let's go look at the subagent. That's not the right one. Maybe backwards. No, I don't think that one's it. OpenCode has definitely had a regression. The very latest version, the being able to navigate through the agents, it's worse than it was before. Now, for one, it doesn't have a way to interact with these agents, and for two, the ordering is messed up. Now I can't really tell, I can't get to the one that I actually need to see to understand why it's asking me permission. Oh no, go back. None of these look like it's trying to do something. I don't see tool calls at the bottom of the session. Okay, let's try to reject it and say, why are you reading that path? I also used to be able to click the actual, like it shows the subagent running here, and I would be able to click that and it would take me directly to that subagent session. That's gone now. I might want to go into the Discord channel and chat with people about that, because now it's way worse. I can't understand what's going on anymore. It looks like it's about to update the plan. I'm a little bit worried because it was trying to do something and it wasn't able to do it, and it just moved on instead of figuring out what was going on. Missing details check. Fixed fact paths. Oh, it's dealing with, no, that's fine. It's a worker treater and add deterministic terminal packet derivation command to ambiguity check fixed precedence order for reconciliation and terminal packet fallback semantics. Yeah, I'm not sure what's up over there, but over here, let's see. It thinks it fixed the stories, or it undid the changes that it wasn't supposed to do. And this whole epic is not tracked in Git. Okay, there's no baseline to auto-revert against. I restored those files to the pre-edit content I had read early in the session. That makes me a little bit nervous. But fine. Now, which story were you supposed to be doing? You had us on one specific story, that one. Okay. That's the prune retrieve tool, messaging metadata clarity story. Okay. Now, has that one been fixed? Yes, that one is fixed in code and test. Corresponding tests were updated. It's still uncommitted. Hold on. It's not understanding. Do you remember that we had to stop because the story had wrong paths? I'm asking you if the story has the correct paths now. Your answer was insufficient. Okay. I am only asking you about one story. Stop referencing anything else. Exclamation points. Holy badoodles. Okay. I don't actually trust it. Reread the entire file. It did some grep, and it had a particular pattern on that grep, and I don't know if that grep would have caught everything. Okay, now it's reread the file, and it's saying the paths are correct. Fine. So that means we can orchestrate it. Do you have the entire contents of orchestrator agent.md in context? Okay, you're absolutely right to push on this. I reread the planning guidance and followed it strictly this time. Okay. It made some changes. Okay, then it ran more things and then it was fine. Okay, great. You're not going to execute it. You're going to orchestrate it. Do you have the orchestration agent? In the document in your active context. This one claims to have it. Let's see what happens if we say orchestrate the story. Oops, this again. Okay. It didn't answer my question. Instead, it just read the file. Fine, that's fine. Developer round clarity story. Oh, right. The story itself is about the clarity in the messages. Okay, great. That's going. Okay, and it answered no, and it reread it. Okay. Orchestrate the story. Ba-doop-ba-doop-doop-doo. Looks like we're going to have both of them doing the orchestration. Let's make sure this one kicks it off right. I have a lot of confidence since it just reread this file. Oh, it's pruning something. From when I asked if it built the latest OpenCode until when it's told me where the new OpenCode was. Perfect prune. That's the way to go. Happy with that. Alright, I think these are both running correctly. This one has launched a developer, this one has launched a developer, and both of them are doing stuff. So we can switch to the image to maze project. Let's see where we were here. I last asked it to create a UI, and it went through the full epic of creating this UI, I think. It's claiming that browser run lint had a pre-existing repo-wide issue outside the story scope. That's almost never true. It lies about that. Oh, yeah, arrow keys are still broken also on the, well, this isn't the latest version of OpenCode. Actually, that's a, yeah, let me relaunch OpenCode first. I'm going to get the latest, oops, I closed to me. That's fine. I'm going to get the latest version that we just built last night. Code dev continue. Ooh. That's a problem. Where's my session? It's the right OpenCode, but it didn't get my session back. And it says there's no sessions. Here we go again. Same problem we had before. Well, not the same symptoms we had before. Let me see. cat.bash rc rep OpenCode. I want this pre-rebase. Oops, let's continue. Okay, well, we still have a problem with the OpenCode to solve, which is, it looks like once again the session database is different somehow. So now we're just back to image to maze, and let's see if we can, what were we going to do? Oh yeah, launch a subagent to figure out. Before you do that, notes the current commit date. All right. Back to our agents on OpenCode and the plugin. They're both still running. So now we have 3 agents doing their stuff. We can now switch actually to another project. Here is the Pi agent. We were adding VI modal editing. Let's see. It added some new plans. I think we might have already implemented these, but I'm not sure. So the issue we were having on this project was we're adding VI style editing, and one of the things in VI is that there are 2 modes, or there are multiple modes, but we have implemented a normal mode and an insert mode, and when it's in insert mode, oh yeah, it looks like it did implement it. When it's in insert mode, it should, the style of the cursor should be a bar, and when it's in normal mode, it should be a block. So here is normal mode, and we see a block cursor. I'll demonstrate in VI over here. So here's normal mode with a block cursor, and when you do insert mode, it changes to a bar. And then you can change back to normal, and it goes to the block. So what's happening here is it's got the block mode. I can switch to insert mode, and it replaces the character with a bar character instead of inserting the bar between the 2 characters. And in fact, I suspect it's not going to be possible to have a bar style cursor because this thing is rendering its own cursor instead of using the hardware cursor support of the terminal. And I'm guessing the hardware cursor support, you know, it can make it display like this, something between your characters, but I'm not so confident that our own rendering, like trying to render our own stuff to the terminal, is going to let us do that, because the way terminal rendering works is it's a grid of characters, and you get to pick what you draw at each character location. The only way this would work is if there's like some decorator we can do to add something to the left side of a character. So let's chat with the LLM about this. Okay, there's a problem. You are not to make any changes. We are strictly in planning and discussion mode. The problem is that when switching to insert mode, the character at the cursor is changed into a completely different character. This is unacceptable. Thinking a lot. Okay. Oh, it's pruning. I wonder what it's going to prune. Identify. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ah, this auto scrolling drives me crazy. Okay. The from and the to. Where's the from? From pattern. There are some unimplemented plans. Okay. Identify which plans those are. And the to pattern is done. I made 2 separate commits exactly as requested. Summary. Identified and orchestrated VI modal stories 5 through 11. Okay. It pruned the right thing. Like that was previous work, and that work is now complete. The context is now down at 4%, which is cool. Understood. No changes from here on, planning discussion only. You're right. If entering insert mode causes the underlying character to visually become the pipe, that means we are rendering a glyph overlay or replacing cell content instead of only changing cursor, shape, / style. That is a behavior bug, not a cosmetic preference. Proposed fix plan. Confirm where insert mode cursor is drawn. Trace mode switch path to see where which code path writes that into the render buffer. Enforce invariant. Cursor styling must never mutate displayed text content in the cell. Keep terminal cursor shape change. Dec SCUSR. That was the terminal control code for changing the cursor. No. So we've previously found out that the terminal has control codes for changing the appearance of the cursor. The PyAgent is not using those control codes. The PyAgent is handling its own rendering. So this thing's discussion of these control codes are incorrect. Add regression test snapshot for character under validate in tmux, non-tmux terminals. One design choice to lock. In insert mode, should the cursor be terminal native beam only recommended, or do you want a custom app rendered beam? Okay, well it does at least know. I do not want the terminal native beam only because that's not the normal default mode of Pi. And there is likely some reason it's not the normal way. Okay, let's see if our other agents are done. Here we go. So this is the plugin LLM session, and it's orchestrated the full develop, review, judge loop for this story where we were clarifying the tool usage. And it says it's complete. Okay, well, the next step is to have me prepare a clean commit just for this story's code. What? It thinks that it needs to create a commit for the code changes, but if it was following the instructions properly, that should have already been done. I'm highly suspicious of your suggestion of creating the clean commit. Are you telling me there are uncommitted changes for this story? Yes, uncommitted story files. So my earlier commit suggestion. Oh boy. Let's, oh yeah, and now I can't even click on these subagents to see what it did. Oh, this is not good. I need to see what it told the developer to do. My earlier commit suggestion was based on these existing uncommitted story edits. Bunches of tests, a bunch of actual changes. When you launched the developer, reviewer, and judge, did you give them the paths to .llm conductor documents that instruct them how to behave? I explicitly gave each subagent its behavior instructions path in the prompt. Developer agent, reviewer agent, judge. And I also gave each one the story path. Alright. Git log. What happened? That's not the most recent change. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is concerning. Why are things acting different all of a sudden? We've been going perfectly fine. What has been going on the last couple of days? Jeez Louise. Let me make sure I'm not crazy. Dev view the files in this directory. Do not provide a summary, simply acknowledge that you're done. Great, it actually read the files. Do the developer, reviewer, judge instructions say anything about when to commit, when to require that commits happened, etc.? Yep. How could this have gone so wrong? It launches a completely fresh subagent. It gives it the developer instructions. It barely has anything to do. It's modifying a little bit of text. Maybe this version of OpenCode's permissions are different as well. We've been seeing all kinds of weird, subtle differences on this version of OpenCode. And if the agents were not allowed to commit, that could be a problem. Let's try something. Victor temp / OpenCode subagent testing. Speedy OpenCode dev. Actually, I want to test the version that we're actually running, which is not that. Cat home / bash c rep OpenCode. Why is that so slow? Oh, it's because of the render. Okay. Pre-remix, that's what it's called. Oops. Create a Git repository here. Launch a subagent. Oops. Ask the subagent to create a file called password and write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the file, then commit that file. Created a repository, delegating. Let's see what happens. And now we can actually watch this one. Created the file, okay. Committed. Okay, well, let's see. Git status, git log. No permissions issues. So let's see. There's supposed to be some reports that the agents create as well. Git status. No. Wait a second. Oh, this is the wrong. This is where I was asking about the thing here. Let's let's see. Agents, plans, epic, epic, story, cleanup, remove non-essential experimental components, minimal bonsai backport, prune, retrieve clarity messaging, remove archive key migration scaffolding. So there's no agent reports? Okay, let me also ask it this. Which agents are asked to produce a report file and commit? Rendering is a little messed up. I can do that to fix it. Only the review judge is instructed to write a report file and commit it. Okay. Let's bring back our main agent here. The developer instructions explicitly say to commit changes. The review judge instructions explicitly. Wait, did it say it has to commit it? Yes, commit the file. To create a report and commit it. Did the agents say anything about the inability to commit? Did they indicate any problems? Mechanical problems, I guess. Not problems related to why? Okay, fine. Mechanical problems. Do not prune until explicitly allowed. I don't want it to prune out the critical messages from these agents. They did not report any ability to commit. They did not report any mechanical or get error. What they reported. Developer, iteration 1, no commits made because it judged implementation already present. Okay, well that's a different thing. Developer, iteration 2, made the test change. Still reported no commits made. Judge gave verdicts only, no mention of commit report failure. I really wish it was easier to go look at the actual sub-agents. It really has messed this up now. Go to the top. This is a reviewer agent. So that one I don't care about. What's this one? This is the judge. Okay. And it reported that it needs a revision? No, that's the previous verdict. Okay. And it read the stuff. Focused test suite for changes. Okay, it runs tests and approves. It did read the instructions. Huh. Barely any context is used. This is so strange. Everything's failing now. Nothing can follow instructions anymore. This is a fresh session. Let me try here. Are there any instructions in the agent files that contradict other context files like Claude.md? Claude.md says, for any non-trivial task, plan first and get confirmation before executing the plan. Plan before acting, get confirmation before executing the plan. Orchestrator agent describes an autonomous execution loop without requiring user confirmation before starting each phase. That's not a conflict. Claude.md says, never do work the user didn't ask for. That's fine. Orchestrator agent can be interpreted as continuing work autonomously across available stories once started. Yeah, that's fine. I'd call these process level conflicts. They're not process level. Okay. I don't know what to do at this point. the LLMs are not following instructions. If they're not following instructions, they might as well be completely useless. This is, what the hell? Change to a different model, I guess. What's this one doing? I don't even remember what we did over here. Oh, it's figuring out which commits we can like put together. Are there any uncommitted changes? In the current repo, you have uncommitted, untracked files, .agents.lm, conductor packages, ts build info. Okay. That is untracked. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. This, redev, rebase, and bonsai. Okay, that's fine. In the replay work tree, there are also untracked files. Those are just generated files, though, I think. Okay, so this one is committing for each thing. Okay, so that means it's ready to implement the story. There. Orchestrate that. Oh, wait, it already orchestrated that, didn't it? Yeah, never mind. Story output is here. Okay. Let me review that. I just want to make sure. No, it's not in my history. Okay. I want this file. Copy. Copy. And it's not actually copied. Oh, nope. That's not what I wanted. Come on, what the heck? There. Oh, come on. Good. There. Okay, replay work tree branch, deterministic classification. This is not it. Oh, maybe it is. Those are our commits. Okay. No, it's not. Nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. That's not it. List the last 3 stories we orchestrated. Maybe this one's the one. Or actually, maybe it just did the thing that I wanted. Nope, it didn't, because I can tell, because this just ran git log and it still has all of these commits. That's not, no. From your context, tell me the last stories we orchestrated in this session. The git history is not necessarily correct. Determine, yeah, this. Replay commit inventory. Okay. Again, what the hell? Okay, we need to start over. Make no modifications until we have alignments. The last thing I asked for was to look at the commits in the history. There are way too many. They can be combined. Figure out which ones belong together. Oh, geez, hold on. No. Stop. Not the entire forever. Oh, man. Again, with the OpenCode changes, I can't get my message history and just push up and get the previous message. They've really regressed. Okay. Only the commits by Basil. Okay. Now this one, oh man, I don't even know what to do here. It's completely messed up. Look, read the, what's going on? The developer.md, no, agent.md, and review judge agent.md files. Right. They really messed things up. Now we need a cleanup plan. And let's switch it to plan mode so it doesn't mess with stuff. Okay, let's see. It's going to combine those commits, schema types, standalone cleanly. Can those exist? Jeez, come on, how do I scroll? Can these commits exist without this commit? The documentation is fine, and then those can combine, and this. Same story, same commit. So, okay. Can that actually the other one? Stand on its own without that, or do they implement needed? Let me see. Take forever. It's being so slow as well. It's being slow and it's being dumb. Use a cleanup plan to recover safely and get back to a trustworthy state. only target that and it's required judge artifacts. No. I'm pretty sure there's a ton of things that should have been committed but weren't from previous stories. Review stories, or actually maybe review the commits, see if they reference which stories they belong to. There. Oh no, I just realized the audio's been really bad on this one. Might as well end the stream so I can clean up this stuff. This is not going to be a very good episode because it's just figuring out how to fix things that the LLM really messed up yesterday. This is not fun at all and doesn't make any sense. There is zero reason why these developer agents shouldn't have worked because they're completely fresh sessions. There's no opportunity for weird context poisoning to happen. They're doing the same thing all of the other agents are doing. Like, you get a story, you make changes, you commit your changes, and then you say you're done. That's what the developer instructions tell you to do. And they're just not doing it, even though the other agents, the other sub-agents are doing just fine. It's so weird. I'm so confused about why it's been so bad the last couple of days. This whole session is probably going to have to get thrown out, even though the main session shouldn't affect the sub-agent sessions, and the sub-agent sessions are also the ones messing up. It just makes zero sense whatsoever. I'm really confused. Okay, for the specific story we just orchestrated, I do not see any commit that clearly corresponds to that story name. That's okay. You're allowed to talk about other stories now, more than just the most recent story. I want you to tell me briefly what I'm trying to get you to work on. You're trying to get me to do a cleanup and recovery of orchestration integrity across stories. Yes, specifically. Audit what story work was done versus what was actually committed, detect missing required artifacts, reconcile uncommitted story work in the tree with story tracking, and restore a trustworthy story by story state so orchestration outputs match the process rules. I'm actually thinking about taking all this work, committing it into a commit on another branch, and then coming back and just having a fresh start and re-implementing the stories. Commit all changes on that branch, then come back to this branch. Okay, exit plan mode. Go. Okay. All right, that looks good. It's interesting that it's using git switch now. Switch is a somewhat new git command. Interesting that it knows about it. All right, so it's done all of that. Now figure out with the current commit which stories have been implemented and which have not. There. What I want is that each commit passes and build successfully, and that there is logical separation that makes sense between commits. Standard good git commit practice. Okay, over here at current main commit that, here's the best effort story status based on history / story labeled commits and current code itself. It kind of figured that out way too fast. I don't know if I trust this. Fuzzy match story files to commit subjects. Correlate story plan files with matching commits. Use a sub-agents to deeply verify your assertions. 1 sub-agents per story. So this is suggesting an order of commits that, to me, doesn't really make sense. It's updating the runtime, then it's updating schema and types. I would understand the opposite. Well, not really. They kind of have to go together, it seems. And then the docs, and then the promo packet, and then the inventory report. Why does it make sense for the schema types change to be in a separate commit? Do the runtime commits not depend on the schema types changes? Okay, great question. If runtime commits require the type changes to pass, then separating them is wrong. Why it might be separate, why it might not. Guy, I'm asking you to do the correct research. Stop telling me maybes. This is your job. I'm getting so tired of the dumbness out of these things. They have really not performed well the last 2 days. Why is it doing a whole bunch of more stuff? Okay, there's all the sub-agents. Good. What's it doing? Plan mode. Plan mode. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you preparing work trees? Why are you cherry picking? What are you doing? Answer my question. Stop doing shit. Holy ba-doodles. I'm getting so tired of this. Read the actual code and use your damned... I can't even spell. Brain. Figure it out. I said research. Jeez. It's doing get diffs. I hope it does a lot more than diffs and greps. This is not sufficient. Okay, good. It's reading actual files. File not found. Well, this guy's asking to access a temp directory. Sure. Here we go. We have a report, but don't know that I trust it because it barely read anything. And it tried to read things and failed, and it doesn't look like it actually found the correct file to read. There's no direct code path dependency from the runtime trio into those two files. It may still be desirable as a separate compatibility hardening commit, but it's not required to make the runtime trio internally coherent. It looks like you tried to read index and control.sql. Whoa. Oh, man. Okay. So it did never read the files, yet it answered authoritatively. It's not trustworthy. So I'm going to ask it what this commit actually does and why it's needed. Adds a runtime database repair. So this commit is not the core replay logic, it is a compatibility hardening commit. DB schema safety for existing account tables, SDK type alignment for message metadata fields. Why are they necessary at all for the Context Bonsai plugin? For Context Bonsai plugin functionality, it's not the core dependency. What it adds is platform compatibility, not Bonsai behavior. Protects OpenCode startup runtime on older local databases where account is missing workspace ID. This is account/auth schema hygiene, not Bonsai prune retrieve logic. SDK generated types, that is understandable. Generate the SDK types is fine. But the Bonsai changes are why the what's it called? SDK type changes are needed, right? I think this account.workspace ID is probably just not needed at all. I don't know why it's even there, really. Tell me as much as you can about the account.workspace ID DB repair. Does the commits say why it's needed? Can you find anything in the code to indicate why it was necessary? Image to maze project is still doing its stuff. And both of these agents are still doing stuff. Okay, yeah, I think I'll go ahead and end the stream here. I'm going to try to finish all of this cleanup before the next stream because it's not fun. It's pretty frustrating. It's almost entirely due to the LLM fuck-ups and not the project. So yeah, I kind of want to finish this up off stream. Ooh, this got killed for some reason. What happened? Okay, anyway, yeah, let's just go ahead and end the stream now, and we'll pick up next week, I suppose, with hopefully a cleaned up plugin, a cleaned up OpenCode, and like the latest version of OpenCode that can actually read the original session data and continue like normal. All right, thanks for joining.